Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. So we'll read Srimad Bhagavatam. 4.31. Narada instructs the Pracetas. So we are on the 21st verse of this chapter. So Pracetas have left their home and Narad Muni has again come, right? Even before Narad Muni came in their life, when they were going to do austerities, or Lord Shiva came, rather. At that time, Lord Shiva came. Narad Muni came and instructed their father, King Prachinibari. And Lord Shiva came, and then Lord Vishnu came. And, they had a conversation with Lord Vishnu. They sought the blessings of Lord Vishnu. And now Narad Muni is coming. So all the great personalities are coming in the life of the Prachetas. So let's see what he says. They've asked a question to Narad Muni that, we have been carried away by the mode of passion. Can you please tell us, how we can perfect our life? So that's in response to that question, Narad Muni is replying. Uh, the question is here in this verse. Kindly enlighten us in transcendental knowledge, which may act as torchlight by which we may cross the dark nations of material existence. So they said we got carried, we became overly attached to family affairs. We almost forgot the instructions we received from Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu. So can you please tell us again what that knowledge is, so that we can cross the ocean of nations, cross this Bhav Sagar, Bhav Sindhu, the cycle of birth and death. So now they are going to respond. Now, Narad Muni has responded, and he has glorified devotional service. So we'll read some verses from there where Narad Muni responds. Just to get a little overview. The great sage Narada said, when a living entity engages in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Supreme Controller, his birth, all his fruitive activities, his lifespan, his mind and his words are all factually perfect. Means one achieves all perfection by engaging in service to Krishna. Okay, then he says, a civilized human being has three kinds of births. The first birth is by a pure father and mother, and this birth is called birth by semen. The next birth takes place when one is initiated by the spiritual master, and this birth is called Savitra. The third birth, called Yagnika, takes place when one is given the opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. Despite the opportunities for attaining such births, even if one gets the lifespan of a demigod, if one does not actually engage in the service of the Lord, everything is useless. So, after having all the opportunity, if one does not avail of those opportunities, takes advantage of the opportunities. First is the human birth, and then you have the association of devotees. So that is the second birth when you get Divya Gyan. And then the third birth when one is given the opportunity to worship Lord Vishnu. So you can say that, that is like worshipping Lord Vishnu in his Archa Vigraha form. It can refer to the first initiation, the second initiation, like that. And then after getting all these opportunities, if one does not avail of these opportunities, then life is useless. Everything is useless. Similarly, one's activities may be mundane or spiritual, but they are useless if they are not meant for satisfying the Lord. So, aprana seva dehasya mandanam lokaranjanam. Bhagavad bhakti hinasya jati shastram japatapa. Aprana seva dehasya mandalam lokaranjanam. So, without Bhagavad bhakti, everything is useless. And this verse comes like this theme comes up again also all the time in the Bhagavatam. There are many verses like that. And the other one is what? Dharma swanustita pumsam visvakshena kathasuya.
Notpadatim Shramayadahi Kevya.
The occupational duties a man performs according to his own position are only so much useless labor. So according to Varnashram, you may do your duty as a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, or Brahmachari, Grihastha. But the, according to your own position, you are performing your duties. But if you have if they do not provoke attraction for hearing about Krishna, so if there is no connection with God, then it's simply pious activities, right? I mean, it will not give you satisfaction, and it will not take you out of the cycle of birth and death. So without bhakti, so without worshipping Krishna, so that is what sometimes people say work is worship, things like that. They made up slogans like this: work is worship, or yeah, just do karma mimamsa philosophy is also like that. It says just do good activities, and then you don't have to do anything else. Just be a good man. But that is not enough, sufficient to take you out and stop your suffering. So without devotional service, and nobody does only good activities, because this material world, it's always a mixture, because the modes of material nature are there. So if you do 100 lifetimes perfectly good activities, then you may get the position of a Brahma. So, but that is very difficult. So that's why sometimes when there is nobody qualified, then who becomes Brahma? Who becomes Brahma?
Krishna himself.
Krishna himself becomes Brahma when there is nobody qualified. So it's not a very easy job to get. And by doing those activities, you may become Brahma, but you may be still averse to the Lord, which Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks about. That there are Brahmas. I don't want to be a Brahma who is averse to you. So you may say, well, how can Brahma be averse to the Lord? But in the song it comes like that. So we say our Brahma is a pure devotee, but other Brahmas may not be pure devotees. They may be devotees, but they may not be pure devotees. And so even from the position of Brahma, they can again come down. A Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. So after getting the position of Brahma, we all got the position of Brahma. When we first left the spiritual world, we got the position of Brahma. And now we came down, right? From that high position in Satyalok. We got, so many others births. We don't remember, but and then we came to the human birth on this earth planet right now. So we should take this human life, short human form of life. Of course, it is a very good birth, because we have been born at the time when Lord Chaitanya's movement is going on. So, so it's a very, very, very great birth we have taken. So, and chanting Hare Krishna in this age is glorified, right? Kalim Sabha Jayanti Arya Gunagya Sara Bhagina Yatra Sankirtana Neva Sarvaswartha Abhilabhyate. Bhagavatam says in this age of Kali is worshipped, because in this age, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, once all self interest is achieved, and also one will become free from all entanglement. The other verse, Kalir Doshe Nithe Rajan, one will go back to the spiritual world. So it's a great opportunity. So without devotional service, what is the meaning of severe austerities? The process of hearing, the power of speech, the power of mental speculation. So he's again saying that without all this, or if one gets all the opportunities and does not avail of it, or you are doing all these things, but there's no devotional service, then what is the use? So twice he's saying that. Then he says, transcendental practices that do not ultimately help one realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead are useless. So he's continuing in that theme, that without devotional service, everything is useless. So there are all these different studies, Sankhya Yoga, or Tapasya, Sanya, study of Vedic literature. But if you don't understand Krishna, then they are useless. Then factually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original source of all self-realization. Consequently, the goal of all auspicious activities, karma, jnana, yoga, and bhakti, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So from Krishna only, self-realization, everything. By His mercy, we'll get realization. And everything, all the goal of all activities is Krishna. And then he says, if you worship Krishna, then all the demigods are satisfied. And you don't have to worship the demigods separately. So without Krishna bhakti, everything is useless. And if you worship Krishna, you don't need to worship anybody else because it's all taken care of. Just as by watering the root of the tree, all the branches, everything is nourished. Or as by supplying food to the stomach, then all the limbs of the body are nourished. So what so far he has said, without Krishna bhakti, everything else is useless. And if you do Krishna bhakti, you don't need to worship anybody else because everybody else is satisfied. So these are the 2 points he has made so far. During the rainy season, water is generated from the sun, and in due course of time, during the summer season, the very same water is again absorbed by the sun. So water comes from the clouds, which are formed due to the sun, and because of that, there is rain. And then in summer season, the same water is evaporated by the sun, and it makes a cloud again. So similarly, all living entities moving and inert are generated from the earth, and again after some time they all return to earth as dust. So it's like a cycle. He's saying we go up and down kind of thing. We are generated from earth. Of course, our body is made up of earth, but we are the soul. But the body is made of earth, and again it goes back to the earth. Just as water comes from the sun because of the formation of the cloud, and then again it goes back as the cloud, and then again it falls down, and then again it goes back up. So there is a cycle. Similarly, everything emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and in due course of time, everything enters into Him again. Bhutva bhutva praliyeta. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, this manifestation is coming and going again and again. It comes into existence, then it is wound up, then again it comes into existence, which is analogous to the breathing of Mahavishnu. So Mahavishnu breathes in and out. So then he's saying, the material world comes and goes, in and out. Everything comes and then it's wound up. Not the spiritual world. The spiritual world remains as it is. Paras tasmatu bhava anyo vyakta vyaktat sanatana. Yasa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. Krishna says that spiritual world is sanatana. That remains. Only the material world comes in and out. And we living entities in the material world, we go into the body of Mahavishnu, then come out, then go into the body of Mahavishnu, and then until we get liberated. So how many times we don't know we have been in the body of Mahavishnu. So then he says, just as the sunshine is non-different from the sun, the cosmic manifestation is also non-different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So everything is Krishna's energy, that is what he's saying. The Supreme Personality is therefore all pervasive within this material creation. Krishna pervades everywhere through his energy. When the senses are active, they appear to be, or as Shirodakshay Vishnu, he expands and enters into each and every atom. When the senses are active, they appear to be part and parcel of the body, but when the body is asleep, their activities are unmanifest. Similarly, the whole cosmic manifestation appears different and yet non-different from the Supreme Person. Okay. So simultaneously one and different. Then he says, my dear kings, sometimes in the sky there are clouds, sometimes there is darkness, sometimes there is illumination. So cloud is always changing. Sometimes there is light and it is bright, full of light in the daytime. At night time it is dark. Sometimes it's cloudy. So, and we say that, oh, today is a bad day, right? Today is a bad day because there is no sun. So, but what is actually a bad day? I was hearing a class by Vraj Bihari Prabhu yesterday. He was quoting this verse. What is the bad verse? Bad day.
Dinam durdinam me gachannam na durdinam. Yadinam Krishna samlapa katha piyusha varjita. Cloudy day is not inauspicious, but the day which is devoid of Harikatha, discussing Harikatha, is actually inauspicious.
Tad dinam, that day is a bad day, or that day is not a bad day. When Meghachanam, Achanam means, Channa means covered. So clouds, Megha is clouds. That day is not a bad day when the sky is covered with clouds. It's a cloudy day. Tad dinam durnidam manye, in my opinion, that is not a bad day when Meghachanam na durnidam. Yad dinam Krishna sanlapa. That day when you don't have sanlap or samvad, you can say, like discussion of Krishna katha. That day when katha piyusha varjitam, when the nectar, piyush means nectar, katha is the nectar of Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's message. Varjitam, one is deprived of. Varjitam, when one is deprived of hearing about Krishna, that day is a bad day. When you cannot chant, when you cannot hear about Krishna, that day is a bad day. So that's how Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur goes. I don't know where that verse is from, but maybe Rupa Goswami says that, or Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to quote
This
this.
is from Narad Pancharatra.
Narada Panchara.
Bhakti Siddhanta used to quote that, yeah.
So Satam Prasangan Mama Virya Samvido Bhavanti Rit Karna Rasayana Katha. So we should be engaged in discussing about Krishna in the association of devotees. That is very pleasing to the ear and the heart. And by cultivating such hearing, one is set on the path of liberation. And slowly, one's Shraddha, one's faith, one's Rati, one's attraction in Bhakti. Shraddha Rati, Bhakti Anukramishati. Step by step over. So so my dear king, sometimes in the sky there are clouds. So then we will come to the point of being very greedy to hear Krishna Katha, because we really have a taste for it. So we like to hear, and so that means our life is becoming successful when our greed for Krishna Katha is increasing. So, my dear king, sometimes in the sky there are clouds, sometimes there is darkness, sometimes there is illumination. So, cloud is always changing. The appearance of all this take place consecutively. Similarly, in the Supreme Absolute, the mode of passion, darkness, and goodness appear as consecutive energies. Sometimes they appear, sometimes they disappear. So, modes of passion appear in our life, mode of goodness appears in our life, and they disappear, they appear, like that. So, we are always afflicted by these modes. Then he says, I think we are on the last but one verse where we have to read today. Because the Supreme Lord is the cause of all causes, is the super soul of all individual living entities. And he exists as both remote and immediate cause. He is aloof from material emanations, he is free from their interactions, and is the Lord of material nature. So he is glorifying the position of the Supreme Lord. He is the cause of all causes, he is in the heart of every living entity, he is the ultimate cause, and he is free from the modes of material nature. And he is the Lord of material nature. You should engage in his service and think yourself as belonging to him. So, I am Krishna's, or Krishna is mine. Yeah. So I am Krishna's. Krishna is claiming that in the 15th chapter, 7th verse. Mame vamsho jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana. Manashashtani indriyani prakriti sthani karshati. That all the living entities are my part and parcels. So he's claiming that they are mine, they are my part. Mama, not any demigod's part and parcels. We are part and parcel of Krishna. We are not part and parcel of Brahma or Indra or Ganesh or anything. Krishna is saying they are my part. So we belong to Krishna. So that's what he's saying. Thinking yourself qualitatively one with him. You should think like that. I belong to Krishna. I'm Krishna's. And everybody else is also Krishna's. So, okay, so that's what, and you should engage in devotional service. So, in response to their question about how we have forgotten the knowledge, please enlighten this transcendental knowledge. So that is what all this Narad Muni he started first with saying that without devotional service to Krishna, everything is useless. And then if you do devotional service to Krishna, then everything else is included in it. And then he's glorifying the Lord, right? And how everything comes from him. So, and then enters back into him. He's saying here all this. So you should engage in devotional service, thinking yourself as belonging to him. So this is what the instruction is. You should therefore engage in his devotional. So basically, ultimately, it all comes down to this, that we have to engage. We are servant of Krishna, and we have to engage in his service. That's all. Ultimately, it boils down to that. Any instruction should boil down to this thing, that we are servant of Krishna and we have to engage in his service. That's all. Okay. And then he says, well, you can satisfy. How will we engage in devotional service? How you can please the Supreme Lord? By showing compassion to all living entities, by being satisfied and controlling the senses from sense enjoyment. By these three things, you can be you can satisfy Janardhan. How can you please Krishna? By showing mercy to others, all living entities. And that mercy is shown in the form of giving Krishna to others or engaging others in devotional service. That is the real mercy. And other mercy, you be kind to others, don't be harsh, don't be cruel to others, be kind to others. Because they are just like you. You don't want anything, you don't want other people to be cruel to you, so you don't be cruel to others. And be satisfied somehow or other with whatever you've got. Because dissatisfaction is the cause of, lot of problems. Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because even though he had everything, he was not satisfied. Vamandev also says this to Bali Maharaj. When Bali Maharaj says, I am the emperor of the world, why are you asking only small 3 steps? Ask for something big. And Vamandev says, even if a man who has everything, if he has uncontrolled senses, he will not be satisfied. So in the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is saying, Dushpurena analena cha. This lust or greed is never satisfied. It burns like fire. So greed for material enjoyment is called lust. And then it will never become satisfied, no matter. It may be temporarily, you may feel, but then again, like that, the fire blazes. So of course, we need, in our conditioned state, we need some enjoyment. So we have to, in a Krishna conscious way, there is this enjoyment. Sense gratification can be done by, let's say you eat nice prasadam, so you offer it to Krishna. So, but one has to be satisfied with whatever ones. We should be satisfied with 3 things. We should not be dissatisfied. We should not be satisfied with 3 things. We should be satisfied with our money we have, with the spouse we have. We should be satisfied with the food we get, and we should be dissatisfied with the scriptural study that we do, the chanting that we do, and the charity that we do. So dissatisfied means we should do more scriptural study, we should do more chanting, we should do more charity in the service of Krishna. So that those 3 things we should be dissatisfied with. Okay. So he's saying, yeah, if you give mercy to all, be kind to everybody. Titikshava karunika, surida sarvadehina, ajata shatrava shanta sadhavasa. Karunika. Krishna is Karuna Sindhu, ocean of compassion. And sometimes it is said the devotees are even more kind than the Supreme Lord, because the devotees will take risk. Even though Krishna says this knowledge should not be explained to those who are not faithful, but the devotees will go and still preach to those who are, of course, there are people who are innocent and they preach, so it is said like that. Okay, they'll try to save them. That story is there, right? The man There was a scorpion that was suffering in water. Right? Something like that. What was the story? The man is trying to save the scorpion who was drowning in water, or so he was taking the scorpion out, and then every time he was.
He got him out. The scorpion was biting him.
Hmm.
So one person was seeing that and he said, "Why are you trying again and again to save his life, although that scorpion is harming you?" So he says that that's the nature of the scorpion, is to bite. My nature as a Brahmana is to help and save others.
Hmm. Yeah. So we read that short, thing from Radhanath Swami, who was trying to save the fish. Right, he was trying and going, and ultimately the waves were bringing the fish back to the shore. Again, he was going and trying to put it in the. So I mean, this is material help, but yeah, uh, the devotees are trying again and again. Krishna is trying again and again to ever working, even though we are like hopeless and useless, and he will never give up on us. He's trying different ways and strategies. Okay, maybe this will work, that will work somehow or other. Let me bring him back. You know, he's going through so much difficulty and struggling. Let me bring him back. So he sends his messengers every now and then, like that. So every lifetime we have denied Krishna. And again, Krishna is accompanying us in the heart and is again trying to convince us so that he never gives up on us. So, so very kind. And Prabhupada also, if somebody went away and then he would say, "No, no, I will never, my doors are always open. They can always come back. The mercy of Lord Nityananda has no limits." So, and here is the representative of Lord Nityananda, Srila Prabhupada. So, being completely cleansed of all material desires, the devotees are freed from all mental contamination. So, in this way, by pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one becomes free from all material contamination. And then they can focus on the Lord, and their love for the Lord is developed, so they will think of the Lord and address Him very feelingly. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, knowing Himself to be controlled by His devotees, does not leave them for a second, just as the sky overhead never becomes invisible. So, when one becomes a pure devotee, the Lord is always there with that person. He's also thinking. Rukmini was saying, "I was thinking about you," and Krishna was saying, "I was also thinking about you. Just as you were thinking about me, I was also thinking about you." So, Krishna is saying in the 12th chapter, right? He says that Mai eva mana adatsva, mai buddhim niveshaya. Engage your mind always in thinking of me. Just fix your mind upon me and your buddhi in me. And nivashyasi mai eva, atha urdhvam na sanshaya. There is no doubt that you will reside in me, means I will think of you. Okay, so that is the result of our thinking of Krishna, and our serving Krishna also thinks about us. That is natural, right? In this world also, somebody who cares for you, and then you also naturally think about that person. There are so many people, but we think about our friends and whoever relatives who are taking care of us. We don't think about everybody else. So, of course, Krishna is thinking about everybody, but especially those who are engaged in devotional service. So, in this verse, now we are on 21st verse. This is the one we have to read. Na bhajati कुमाशिनम स इज्याम हरिर अधनात्मा धन प्रियो रसज्ञ श्रुताधन कुल कर्मणाम मदेर्ये विदधाति papam akinchaneshu satsu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. So, He is the property of the materially impoverished. Means those who have no material possession, means those who have no material desires, but are fully happy in possessing the devotional. Their only possession is devotional service. One time Gokuleshwar Prabhu was telling me, Are, this is my only thing that I am engaged in devotional. Don't take that away from me. This is the only thing I have. Some conversation was there, so I don't remember, but he was saying like that. So Supreme Personality of Godhead becomes very dear to those devotees who have no material possessions but are fully happy in possessing. So feeling very insignificant, humility, one definition of humility is to be very joyful, feeling insignificant. Normally, when we feel insignificant, we are thinking, I have no this, we maybe get into depression. But to one definition of humility is to feel oneself insignificantly joyful or joyful in one's insignificance. So possessing devotional service, humility, doing devotional service in humility and feeling very joyful and feeling insignificant, not after anything. So that is one definition of humility. So no material possessions, but are fully happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. So they are very happy. They don't have anything, but they are very happy. And they are not recognized. They are very happy. They are joyfully doing devotional service. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. So Krishna is also very possessive. He wants direct. He wants complete surrender. Right? He says, "Mam, ekam, only me." So those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees. So pride will never please the Lord. And if you are proud, then you say, "Oh, this person is like this, that person is like this. I am the best person." So even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them. So Duryodhan was very, he was offering all chappan bhog, but he was very proud. And they asked him, "Can you find a person who is better than you?" And right, what was that? Dronacharya told Yudhishthir and Duryodhan. To Yudhishthir, he said, "Can you find somebody who is fallen than you, right? Who's lower than you?" And to Duryodhan, they told him, "Can you find somebody who is higher than you?" And both came empty handed. Right? Something like that. That story is there. So, correct is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So Duryodhan said, "There is nobody higher than me. I'm the highest." So, and Yudhishthir was feeling, "Oh, there is nobody lower than me." So, was it Duryodhan or was it Arjun? I don't know who it was, but
Yudhishthir and Duryodhana.
yeah. So he was the most proud person, and he could not stand anybody above him. Even the umbrella, I think, they were said there can be not be umbrella above me. Like that's something. There is some. So then they decided that actually Yudhishthir is fit to be the king. So so that is what we have to chant Hare Krishna in humility. That is the verse which Mahaprabhu says, right? One should, or Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says that what is that? Adhika, Dina, Adhika. One, the devotee considers himself very, and then
प्रेमेरा स्वभाव
no,
प्रेमेरा
the other one.
दीनेरा अधिक दया करे भगवान पंडिता को लेना धनेरा बड़ा अभिमान.
What does that mean?
Krishna is especially favorable to the meek and humble, to those who are proud of their um, pandita, kulina, dhanira, wealth, their learning, their family heritage. They don't get the favor of Krishna.
Dinera Adhika, Daya Kare Bhagwan. Yeah. So Though adhik means those who are more. Okay, then Krishna is favorable. That is why in the Sharanagati, in the six symptoms of surrender, one is what is that? Atma,
Nikshepa,
Atma,
Karpanda.
Atma Nikshepa Karpanye. So what does that mean? Atma Nikshepa means
Karpanda means humility. Atmaniksheva means surrendering your body, mind, and words.
fully dedicating, and then these are the supreme. Karpanye means humility. Okay. So like that. So those, he's the property of those who are materially impoverished. Indeed, the Lord relishes. So they think that Krishna is my only possession. Indeed, the Lord relishes the devotional activities of such devotees. Or whatever I have, it belongs to Krishna also. That way also. Those, so we say Ambrish Maharaj was as akinchana as Shukdev Goswami. One had a palace, but he was akinchana in the sense that he knew everything belonged to Krishna and he was using. And Sukdev Goswami didn't have anything, but he was also a Kinchana. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things and they often deride the devotees. Yeah, so Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shri Biye Dhamana Madhapuman Devarhatya Vidatum Vais Swam Kinchana Gocharam. My Lord, your Lordship can easily be approached, but only by those who are materially exhausted. One who is on the path of material progress, trying to improve himself. Okay. So we have Padmaksha Prabhu showing thumbs up, but he's not on the call. He's seeing the messages. Okay. Those who are puffed up with material education, wealth, aristocracy, and fruitive activity are very proud of possessing material things, and they often deride the devotees because the devotees may be poor or like that. Even if such people offer the Lord worship, the Lord never accepts them. So that means in pride, if you offer a service to the Lord will not accept the service. Duryodhan wanted to serve, he never accepted the service. Of Duryodhan Chappan Bhog he had made, but he never accepted. Okay, so the Supreme Personality of Godhead is dependent on his pure devotees. He does not accept even the offerings of those who are not, he does not even accept the offerings of those who are not devotees. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, if you want to invite me to your home, you should chant 100,000 names of the Lord with 64 rounds. Then I will come to eat at your home. A pure devotee is one who feels he does not possess anything material. A devotee is always happy in possessing the devotional service of the Lord. Devotees may sometimes appear materially poor, but because they are spiritually advanced and enriched, they are most dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's telling that what is the qualification to please the Lord? And Narad Muni is saying, previously said three things, now he's saying, so to be humble. But because they are spiritually advanced and enriched, they are most dear to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such devotees are free from attachment to family, society, friendship, children, and so on. In the Sadhu Sangashtakam, Tyaktva Svajana Bandhava, right? Uh, Lord Kapila Dev is telling that for my sake, they will give up everything.
Mayanannena bhavena. Bhaktim kurvanti
The
yitra.
Dridam.
Mat krite ityakta karmanastakta swajana bandhava.
So, of course, if they are not favorable, then they can be given up like that. So, of course, now you have to see the practical things also. But yeah, Prabhupada gave up his things like when he's found this is not working out, it's not favorable. So, such devotees are free from attachment to family, society, friendship, children, and so on. They abandon affection for all these material possessions and are always happy in possessing the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Now we have to be practical. We cannot say like that, if and uh, every situation is unique and the Supreme Personality of Godhead understands the position of his devotee. Means in the advanced stage for Krishna, one will sacrifice everything, like the gopis, like they're most exalted. They will sacrifice their relationship with their husband, their children. They'll give up everything to be with Krishna. So that's why they are the topmost devotees. So they are so exalted that they will do anything to achieve Krishna. Even they will give the dust from their feet to Krishna, even at the risk of going to hell. But they want Krishna. So they are mad after Krishna. So the Supreme Personality of Godhead understands the position of his devotee. If a person derides a pure devotee, and so many people have left so many things in the pursuit of God, right? So many people like the Bharat Maharaj, he left like everything as if one passes stool. When you pass stool, you just flush it. You don't even look at it. So yesterday we were hearing about Parikshit Maharaj, how he he also 7 days he knew that he had 7 days, so he left behind everything, his attachment, his family, his treasury, because either death will come and snatch it away for us from us, or you voluntarily give it up. So before death comes, so sometimes they say you should die before dying. That's what they say. Die before dying means anyway death will come and snatch everything away from you. So just voluntarily give it up. Of course, it's not like we have to give up means, because another aspect of it is we cannot give up anything because nothing belongs to us. Everything is, so use everything for Krishna's service basically. If a person derides a pure devotee, he is never recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hmm. In other words, the Supreme Lord never excuses one who offends a pure devotee. There are many examples of this in history. A great mystic yogi, Durvasa Muni, offended the great devotee Amrish Maharaj. The great sage Durvasa was to be chastised by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. Even though the great mystic directly approached the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he was never excused. Those on the path of liberation should be very careful not to offend a pure devotee. Okay, so the first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord. So it is like the mad elephant offense. So the mad elephant can undo all years of hard work that you have done in your garden in a few seconds. So, but of course, sometimes we say that devotional service is never exhausted. So it may be stunted or blocked for the time being, but it's always, remains. That is also there. Okay, so what is the time? One verse and then hear something. Shriyam manucharitam tadarthinascha द्विपादपतिन् विबुधांश्च यत्स्वपूर्णः न भजति निजभृत्या वर्गतन्त्रः कथम अमुम udvisrijet puman kritagna. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead is self-sufficient, he becomes dependent on his devotees. Yeah, he likes that. He doesn't need anything and he can do everything, but he depends on his devotees. Any example like that? He depends on his devotees for his welfare, right? As if without them he will fail. As any example?
Krishna has become a child dependent on Mother Yashoda to feed him.
Mm. Yeah.
Sanatan Goswami.
Sanatan Goswami. Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday, saying,
Yeah.
please give me some salt, like that. So,
In the deity form in general, he's dependent on the
yeah,
devotees.
correct. In the deity form, yeah, he's like dependent on his devotee to bathe him, to feed him, to dress him. Yeah, but that is deity form. But in actual pastime, where Krishna dependent on his devotees. Any other thing, if you remember, let me know. He does not care for the goddess of fortune, nor for the kings and demigods who are after the favors of goddess of fortune. Means he does not care about Lakshmi Devi. Where is that person who is actually grateful and will not worship this personality of God? So, of course, he is Lakshmi Devi's consort. But to emphasize that how the Lord is so much inclined to his devotees. Lakshmi Devi is also the devotee only. Um, he doesn't care for the kings and demigods who are after the favors of the goddess of fortune. So, those who want Lakshmi without Krishna, then he does not care for those such people. Of course, he gives them, as Krishna fulfills everybody's desire. Where is that person who is actually grateful and will not worship the personality of God? So, one aspect of gratitude is to engage in service. If somebody has done something for you, you want to do something for them in return and you want to serve them. Somebody has done something, if you feel that somebody has done something, somebody saved your life, for instance, then you want to do something back for them. Otherwise, you are just ungrateful. Like the gopis say, what kind of person you are, Krishna? We have given up everything and come to you, and you are, you know, rejecting us, or you have disappeared from our midst. What kind of? There are three kinds of people, the gopis say, right? So they want to know what kind of person is Krishna. Some reciprocate only um, when others reciprocate. Like if you reciprocate with me, I'll reciprocate back. That is one kind of person. What is the other kind of person? Even if you do something for me, I don't reciprocate. So, do you belong to this category? They're saying, are you ungrateful that you have given up? And then, of course, and then what is the other third category? Where um,
Even if you don't
reciprocate
show
with me,
affection, they will show affection no matter what.
no matter what. So, yeah, I think they are trying to say Krishna falls in the second category where, you know, we are reciprocating and you're not reciprocating with us. So, and then Krishna says, no, 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 I'm not. What does Krishna say? It is just to increase your hankering for me. That
I
I
never stopped loving you, even if when I went away, I never stopped loving you. And the reason I separate myself to you is to increase your eagerness to attain me. So your love increases.
yeah. So this is after the Gopi Geet, right? This is after the Gopi Geet, or
Yeah, this after when he returns.
okay. So if you are grateful to somebody, then you will. The more grateful you are, the more you want to do things for that person. So there is one gratitude by saying thank you, thank you. That's one gratitude. Then second type of gratitude is that you want to give them something in return. That they found something. Your child was kidnapped and somebody brought your child back. So you want to give them something. And then the third kind of gratitude means they have done so much for you that you want to give your life to them. Basically, you're just indebted to them. So anyway, gratitude should result in doing something returning back in service. So we should be grateful, otherwise we are grateful. Grateful. Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is worshipped by all materialistic men. So Krishna is doing so much for us. Every day he's providing us food. Every day, this body also he has provided, this human form of life. He has given us the association of devotees, and he has given us time to chant Hare Krishna, to read about him. So we should be so grateful. Um, and to repay him back, we should use whatever he has given us. We should offer it back to him. So he has given us time, so we should use our time in thinking about him, chanting his holy name, hearing about him like that. So he has given us things like we say Ganga, you take Ganga water and offer it back to Ganga. So whatever Krishna has given us so much, so we offer that back to him. Like this food he has given us, so we give him back the food. It is his only arrangement. So like that we can, like they say, a father has a child and the father is giving pocket money to the child, and on the father's birthday the child goes and buys a greeting card or a gift for the father, and the father feels so happy. He doesn't say, "Oh, child, you didn't earn the money yourself. I only gave you the money. You didn't earn it yourself, and you are giving it. You're buying this thing and giving it back to me. What is this? I only give you the money." He doesn't say like that. He feels very happy. So Krishna just wants some acknowledgement from us that we recognize that. That's why he says, "Patram pushpam phalam dvayam yad karoshi yadashnasi." You offer me something back. I want to. He doesn't want the thing, but that feeling of gratitude. He wants that feeling of gratitude, and he wants that some love in that way from us. He's He's hankering for love. Everybody is hankering for love in this world, right? We say everybody wants to be loved and love others. Everybody is wanting to be loved by others. So Krishna is also wanting to be loved by others. That's why he's saying, Patram pushpam phalam toyam. Offer me something, something like that, very insignificant. And through that you offer me your love. Because that is the only thing which Krishna cannot control, is our tendency to love him. He cannot control that. We have to voluntarily do it ourselves. He wants us to love him, but he cannot force us. So, Lakshmi, the goddess of fortune, is worshipped by all materialistic men, including big kings and demigods in heaven. Lakshmi, however, is always after the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everybody is after Lakshmi, and Lakshmi is after Krishna, even though he does not require her service. Brahma Samhita says that the Lord is worshipped by hundreds and thousands of goddesses of fortune. Chintamani prakarasatma sukalpa vriksha lakshavruteshu surabhirapi palayantam Lakshmi sahasra satasam brahma sevyamanam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. But the Supreme Lord does not require service from any of them, because if he so desires, he can produce millions of goddesses of fortune through his spiritual energy, the pleasure potency. This very personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, becomes dependent on the devotees. How fortunate then is a devotee who is thus favored by the personality of Godhead. What ungrateful devotee will not worship the Lord and enter into his devotional service? Actually, a devotee cannot forget his obligation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even for a single moment. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that both the Supreme Lord and his devotees are rasagna, full of transcendental humor, because we are part of Krishna, so we also have the same quality as Krishna in a minute degree. The mutual attachment between the Supreme Lord and his devotees is never to be considered material. It always exists as a transcendental fact. So there is a loving relationship, which is a fact, between the Jiva and the Lord. There are 8 types of transcendental ecstasy known as Bhav, Anubhav, Sthayi Bhav, and so on. And these are discussed in the Nectar of Devotion. Those who are unaware of the position of the living entity and the Supreme Person Krishna think that the mutual attachment between the Lord and his devotees is a creation of the material energy. So they think there is some tinge of selfishness in that relationship. So people think like that. Those who don't know Krishna's position and the Jiva's position, they think it is also something like of this world, the dealing of Krishna with the gopis. Factually, such attachment is natural both for the Supreme Lord and for the devotee, and it cannot be accepted as material. So, this is a natural propensity. There is a natural loving relationship between the father and the child, right? So, the Supreme Father and us, there is a natural relationship. Okay, so any comments? So Narad Muni is saying that is describing, the glories of how Krishna is so dear to the devotees, and he depends on his devotees. And so these are all the principles of devotional service. If you want to please Krishna, what consciousness you should have, what three things can please Krishna, and how you should be in humble mood, and all these things. He will not accept anything if you become proud. And then the Lord also depends on his devotees. So, although he's all powerful. So that's why the Lord is this quality of the Lord, Bhakta Vatsala, and depending on his devotees and being controlled by his devotees is very pleasing to hear about, because he's the supreme controller, but he's becoming subservient to his devotees, as if without them he cannot survive, and he depends on them for fulfillment of his desires. Although Prabhupada says, yeah, he can produce millions of goddesses of fortune. He does not require anybody, but he's hankering for the association of his devotees. Okay, so that is how he's made it. So we will hear that lecture. Anything else? Any bhajan? See.
Yes. Narada. Okay, so can't find. I can sing Radha Krishna Pranamara.
Okay, we can share the link. So if we know all the bhajans, then these bhajans will remain in our mind. Like, before when you saw a movie and you hum the song right after the movie is over, and you hear the song so many times, then it plays in your mind. So similarly, if you have this bhajans, and then it can remain in our mind. Okay.
राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर जीवन मरने गति और नहीं मोर राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर कालिंदी रकुले केली कदम्बे रवाना रतन बिदिरा ऊपर बुशा बोध जाना राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर श्यामा गौरी अंगे दिबो चंदने रगंधा चामर धुलाबो कबे हिरी मुख चंद्रा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर गाथिया माला तीर माला दिबादर गाले अधरे तुलिया दिबा कर्पूर तंबुले राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर ललिता विशाखादि जटा सखी वृंदा आज्ञया कुरीबा सेवा चरणारविंदा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासे अनुदास कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर जीवन मरने गति और नहीं मोर राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगल किशोर. The divine couple Shri Shri Radha and Krishna is my life and soul. In life or death, I have no other refuge but them. In a forest of small Kadamba trees on the bank of the Yamuna, I will seat the divine couple on a throne made of brilliant jewels. I will anoint their dark and fair forms with sandalwood paste, scented with chuya, and I will fan them with charmer whisk. Oh, when will I behold their moonlight faces? After stringing together garlands of malati flowers, I will place them around their necks, and I will offer tambula scented with camphor to their lotus mouths. With the permission of all the Sakhis headed by Lalita and Vishakha, I will serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. Narottam Das, the servant of Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu, longs for this service to the divine couple. So Krishna is longing to serve the devotees, and the devotee is always longing to serve Krishna. As we said, Krishna is dependent on his devotees, and devotees also dependent on Krishna. One of the symptoms of Sharanagati is Krishna is the only maintainer, Krishna is the protector, and Gopatritve Varam Tatha, Rakshashititi Vishwasu. Being totally dependent on Krishna as one's maintainer. So, yeah, so here the devotee is serving Krishna in his mind. We can have this meditation going on. Or also when festivals come and devotees are decorating the temple. Any service that we do, we have to be in the proper consciousness. See, I'm cooking for Krishna. I want to cook the best thing so that Krishna likes it. Or decorate Krishna, make garlands for Krishna, doing arati to Krishna. All with bhav that he has given me so much, as you were saying, being grateful. He has given me so much, especially he has given me the association of devotees and a human birth. I cannot ask for more. Then in gratitude we offer everything that we have to Krishna with love. That's what he's looking for, right? Even if we offer Chappan Bhog, but it's not with love and devotion, he will not accept it. And also, if we please the devotees, and Krishna will accept it. But as we were discussing, that if which verse was that where if we are not, if we deride the devotees, so that's Kanishta Adhikari, right? Who's identifying with, who's serving the Lord, but um, he's not behaving well with the devotees. So then Krishna will not accept. And Krishna,
Archaya,
hmm?
Archayami Vaharaye Puja.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yes.
correct. And how do we know that Krishna has accepted our offering? When devotees are pleased with us. So especially, and Krishna says, one who serves me is not a devotee, but one who serves my devotee is my devotee. One who worships my devotee is a devotee. So we should, any opportunity that we get to serve Vaishnavas, we should do that. And that's a quick way of pleasing Krishna.
Yes. And another symptom is that you will feel enthused in bhakti also. That you please Krishna means you will feel enthused in bhakti.
You'll feel more taste, yeah. So that's, yeah, when Krishna is pleased and you feel satisfied, right? Like Yasmin Tushte Jagat Tushtam. More bliss and taste you get. Sandrananda Visheshatma. Pure devotional service has these effects.
Okay. So for remaining few minutes, we can hear that lecture we were hearing, which we didn't finish. Let's see. Yeah.